Hello again, everyone, and welcome to Geraldo. Before we introduce our guest, first some background for those of you who may have forgotten the awful details of her story. We've put together a brief summary of Marla Hanson's ordeal. This is what the last year has been like for the victim of first a razor slashing and then a character assassination. Marla Hanson was a 24-year-old model on the brink of a promising career in the big city. A hard-working and independent woman, she rejected the help offered her by this man, her landlord, a makeup artist named Stephen Roth. She rejected his sexual advances as well. This was Roth's revenge, a brutal attack that mutilated the pretty face, devastated her professional dreams, and took more than 150 stitches to close. A vicious coward, Roth did not wield the razor himself. He just lured Marla onto a deserted street. As the two of them argued about a rent deposit he owed her, Roth's homosexual lover and another man held the young woman and cut her face. The slashing was terrifyingly slow and cruelly deliberate, and it was not the end of Marla Hanson's suffering. At the trials of the three men, she was attacked all over again, this time by defense attorneys. One lawyer called her a liar, telling the jury she used her beauty to prey on men. Another made the absurd charge that she was a racist, as if the color of her attacker affected the severity of her wounds.
Marla Hanson not only comes from Texas, but she has a certain racial stereotypes about blacks. It's very negative.
Despite the sleazy but legal defense tactics, all three men were finally convicted. But then it was the judge's turn to attack Marla. Just after handing down maximum sentences, the judge drove Marla to tears by criticizing her for publicly complaining about the treatment she had received in court. A few days later, public and press outrage forced the judge to apologize. Marla Hanson has come through it a winner.
It's worth it to stand up for your rights and stand up for what you believe in.
But other women are outraged by her treatment in court.
We have a sleazy lawyer using terribly, terribly sleazy techniques that sends a message to all of those creeps out there who prey upon women that it's okay to do it, guys, because there'll be some lawyer out there who will say anything in order to get his clients to...
Ladies and gentlemen, the brave and beautiful Marla Hanson. Did you know what was happening when that man had that razor to your face?
No, at that time I didn't know.
Were you protected by the shock of the attack?
I guess so. I just, it happened so fast. I feel like I'm vibrating here. It happened so fast, and I couldn't really see what they were doing to me, and you know, that mixed with the excitement. I knew that they were attacking me, but I didn't know exactly what they were doing until...
When did you realize it for the first time?
I felt this stinging, and then I guess when I looked down and I saw the blood, I realized I was cut.
What happened then?
Well, I guess on a certain level I sort of freaked out, but I was trying to keep calm and trying to... It's like, oh my God, I'm cut, but I can't freak out because I have to keep my wits about me and get some help.
Did you get an ambulance, or did the cops take you to the hospital? What happened?
I went back. I had started out from a bar before I took the little walk, and I went back to the bar, and there were police there immediately, and they didn't have time to wait for an ambulance. They just took me in the police car directly to the hospital.
And what was your reaction when you looked in the mirror, or did you?
I didn't that night. I didn't.
And when you did?
I wanted to so bad, but the doctor said, no, it's not a good idea. My two roommates came to meet me, and I remember I got up to go to the bathroom at one point, and I was dying to look in the mirror because I just wanted to see what I looked like. And my roommate stepped in front of me, in front of the mirror, and said, "Don't look, don't look. You can see it tomorrow."
And when you saw it?
I didn't see it until I had received the stitches. And it was so much better looking than I had anticipated that I was relieved.
Yeah. Those pictures look so bad. It seems that you carved a road map in your pretty face. The scars don't look so bad now. I see that one on your right cheek. But so who was this punk Roth, anyway? What was he to you? He
was an acquaintance and my landlord. That's all.
You never had a romantic relationship with the guy?
No.
Have you contemplated probably the most profound question in this whole thing? How a person could do something like that to another human being? Or
Oh,
why
of
a person
course.
would do it?
Anytime something violent happens to someone, you look at the person that did it and you just think, how could anybody do something like that to another person? But I think the fact is that people that commit violent acts really like what they do. And I think that we have to realize that they like doing that. They like the power and the control, and they like inflicting pain. It's
Well,
sad, but it's true.
Was the guy, it probably is true, but was the guy who wielded the razor the homosexual lover of your landlord? Is that the connection? Is that how he got the man to do something
No,
that terrible?
that guy was the one that held me down, and then the friend of him, he's the one that cut me, actually.
In the trial, I don't remember, did it ever come out what their motivation was, why they chose that particular way to attack you, that particular revenge on you?
No. No, not...
I know Roth was a makeup man. I wonder if he didn't figure it out in some diabolical way that this is the way to get a model, you know, you screw up her face.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure he meant to keep me from my career. He knew that would be the thing that would hurt me the most.
Did he, in fact, at least in the initial stages, or what did you think right afterward? Do you think your career was over?
I guess immediately when I was in the hospital before I received the stitches, I thought it was over. And then when I saw the stitches the next day, I said, you know, I don't look that bad. And as a matter of fact, I'm really lucky. And my career's not over. I'm not going to let it be over.
What about the reaction to you from people? I mean, the initial reaction must have been an outpouring of sympathy because you'd been the victim of the attack. But then after they started dropping all these awful things, attacking your character, saying that you had used your beauty to lure men, etc. I mean, tell us.
Well, there were several things that helped me through that. One was the fact that I knew why they were doing it. I knew that the defense, that was their only defense, was to attack me, and that somehow makes you feel better. And the second thing that helped me was the fact that I knew the reasons people attack the victim a lot of times are because they don't want to, or they want to disassociate themselves with crime. They want to think that it can't happen to me. So by blaming the victim, they say, they must have done something that I wouldn't do, therefore this can't happen to me. And when you think about that, you can understand, and it doesn't hurt quite as much.
You seem so forgiving about it. I mean, I just would be so filled with hatred toward them.
You know, I think until you get into the situation, you don't know how you're going to react, but I don't think you would be. I don't think so, because it doesn't help anybody, especially yourself. And I think the best way to get over something like this is to say we take what comes to us and we deal with it the best way we can, and we get on to something else.
That's such wisdom from a 25-year-old person. You're nice as well as beautiful. So stay with us. We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen, with Marla Hanson. More questions after this commercial break. Okay, we're back with Marla Hanson. Now it's our audience's turn to ask some questions. You had one?
Yes.
Okay, you can stand, sure.
Since, you know, being a model, you're scrutinized so much, at least I know from modeling for 12 years. And when you go up on a go-see, they stare at every little thing that you have on your face. Don't you feel now that even more, everywhere you go and every go-see that you go on, people are just looking to see how bad the scar is? And doesn't it make, I'm amazed that you're not more upset, because it limits you, you know, right? Doesn't it make you feel more limited?
In a way, yeah, but I just keep thinking how lucky I am. And, you know, I've never, since this happened, looked in the mirror and said, I wish I didn't have this scar. I mean, sometimes I look at other beautiful women and their flawless faces, and you know, I kind of flinch, but I'm really fortunate, and I have to do the best I can with what I have. And yeah, it's hard sometimes. A lot of people do come and they look at me like this, and they look at the scar, and it's not so bad. But
You know, I found myself doing it, I have to admit. You know, it's natural, though.
but I don't think people mean any harm by it. I think they're just curious. I admire it anyway. Oh, thank
She
you.
admires it.
Hi.
You can sit there.
Okay. I was wondering if you've talked to Alton Maddox, is that his name? Since the
attorney, the
attorney.
defense
Attorney,
attorney. Have you
right.
confronted him?
I mean, does he still believe that you had this conspiracy with Roth?
I always thought that was sort of absurd and ridiculous, and probably his only attempt at a defense. And I think he's a horrible man. And no, I haven't talked to him. I don't have any desire to.
The defense attorney, horrible one. Yes? Okay.
As far as your modeling career, you said you're going to pursue it. Do you have anything exciting lined up? Anything that you're going to be doing in the near future?
Yes, I do. I'm doing a lecture circuit talking about victims' rights and crime victims because I feel like it was something I went through just with the help of a few friends, and I wasn't aware of all the services that were out there. And if I can help one person go through, have an easier time going through a situation like mine, that would be wonderful. So I feel like this is something I want to do, and I'm taking some time off to do it. And I'm a spokesperson for a company called DermaBlend, which is
when did that happen?
That just happened recently.
Oh, no
in the
kidding.
last few days. I'm
So-
really excited. It's my first real job since the attack. And it's going to be nice to work again.
What is DermaBlend? I mean, what's the connection?
It's a cosmetic company, mostly a corrective cosmetic company. And with the help of the cosmetics, it can cover my scars, and it just helps my photographs.
How about plastic surgery? Have you considered that?
I'm considering it now, yeah. But
I
I'd like to
noticed one
work-
cover, I guess it was an Italian magazine, where they didn't do anything to cover it. It looked like they even...
They
yeah,
sort of like it
accentuated.
in Europe. They think it's a cool thing in a strange way.
Yeah,
I don't
it's
know.
funny, I remember Russian swordsmen used to shave their beards to show their saber wounds, you know, because
Oh,
they
really?
thought that was cool and macho. Yeah, yeah.
Yes, I'd like to know how you feel seeing all the pictures played back and things like that. How do you feel right now about that?
It's sort of hard to see the original pictures in the hospital. I mean, sometimes it still makes me cry, but in another way, I look at how much my face is healed in a year, and it's amazing.
It really is amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, most, like the top one and the bottom one, you don't even see at all.
If you had a chance to talk to the man that did this to you, what would you say? Or
I've wanted to since this happened. I guess I would want to say why. You know, why and how could you do this?
Yeah, good question. I'd like to also. Yes, ma'am.
What I'm very impressed with is that as such a young person, you seem to have such awareness that sexual assault is control and power. And how did you come to that conclusion so young? I'm a senior citizen, and it took me 60 years.
Living in New York, you grow up fast.
That's a good point about New York, yeah.
I'd like to know, I forgot my question.
Oh, you forgot your question. All right, you'll think of it next time. You? Who? Oh, you. Oh, sorry.
Hi, how you doing?
Hi.
I would like to know, what is your most important goal right now for yourself?
My most important immediate goal, I guess, would be to, like I said, to help other people that have been in a situation similar to mine, and to just be a good example to I think everybody, that you kind of take the situations that come to you and you do the best you can. And people have inspired me. I guess I want to be an inspiration to others.
I want to take another commercial break at this point, Marla, but when we come back, what I'd like to talk about is the trashing that you received in court.
Okay.
And in a more general sense, what happens to female victims of many crimes, particularly crimes that have a sexual connotation, or what happened to you even. So let's talk about that. Female victims and the abuse they receive in court when we come back. Was your treatment in court, in some at least philosophical way, as bad as your treatment on that dark street that day they cut you?
I think that it's worse in a big way, because the treatment on the street was immediate and it was fast and it was over with, but the psychological treatment of being attacked deliberately and emotionally on top of everything else I had gone through was terrible.
Did you have close friends or family in the courtroom when you were testifying?
No, I didn't. I had one close friend.
Were you in some very real way embarrassed by these terrible charges, that you
Oh, of course.
used your beauty to lure men, that you enticed them, that you were the reason for the whole thing?
Of course. It was embarrassing and it was humiliating to be accused and to be on the defense all the time, and everybody was looking at me, evaluating my life, and to have not done anything to deserve that kind of treatment was really frustrating.
Well, tell me, when they were evaluating your life, did you have the ironic feeling that you were the defendant?
Of course.
That you were on trial?
Yeah, I did. It's not a good feeling. It'd be different if I went out and committed a crime, then I would say, I deserve this, and I'm going to take what I deserve. But when you've done nothing and you're put in that situation, it's really frustrating.
You know, your case, Marla's case, and especially the beating she took in court are not unique. There have been dozens of other notorious cases and tens of thousands we never hear about. Take a look at some of the more recent examples of what happens in court to too many female crime victims. In New Bedford, Massachusetts, an entire community was outraged by an outrageous assault. A young woman was thrown onto a pool table at this bar and gang raped as other men cheered her attackers on. She'd gone to the bar to get cigarettes, but at the trial of her assailants, she was branded a loose woman looking for sex. Heiress Sonny von Bülow is still in a coma. Her husband Klaus has been found innocent of trying to kill her with an injection of insulin.
I'm not guilty.
But his trial stained her name, as his lawyers portrayed her as an alcoholic who destroyed her own life one reckless evening. Lying comatose, she, of course, cannot answer the charges. The friends of 18-year-old Jennifer Levin can only cry for her. In October, a young preppy named Robert Chambers will stand trial for murdering Jennifer in New York Central Park. But Jennifer's character is already on trial in the press. The young woman's personal diary was exposed in pre-trial hearings, and her friends were horrified as defense lawyers accused the late teenager of a, quote, kinky and aggressive sex life.
They're blackballing an innocent victim's name. That's it.
Wild sex.
Wild
Got no
sex.
say in it.
They're trying to make her look like a tramp, and she wasn't.
She's got no say in it. Look where she is now. How is she supposed to defend herself?
Indeed, at Chambers' trial, his lawyers will attempt to prove that Jennifer sexually molested him. Despite his considerable advantage in size and strength, Chambers will try to prove that he killed the girl in self-defense.
Jennifer attacking the 220-pound man, that's ridiculous. With bite marks on her, that's ridiculous. No.
We are joined now by Alan Dershowitz. He is a highly regarded criminal defense lawyer. He's also a professor of law at Harvard University, and he represented Klaus von Bülow in the successful appeal and retrial and won that acquittal. Alan, is anything fair in war? Is anything fair in a criminal defense case?
Absolutely not. I deplore the tactic of putting the victim on trial falsely, but we must remember that sometimes innocent people are falsely accused. There was another case in New York a few years ago, tragic case of a young violinist who was pushed in front of a subway train, and she lost her hand and her ability to play the violin. Everybody wanted the man who was arrested for that crime to be convicted. There was only one problem. He was the wrong man, and he was acquitted. And ultimately, they found the right man. So we do have a system which has to balance the rights of the defendants. And after all, the rights of the defendants and the rights of the victims are very similar. The last thing in the world I think you would want to have seen happen is the wrong man convicted of the crime. But of course, in her case, we knew who the right man was. And it was a question of whether or not she allegedly provoked something. That's where the problems come up. And that's where I think a lot of lawyers sink into the gutter and do what's improper.
But Jack Littman, your student, Jack Littman,
and my friend.
And your friend, who's representing Robert Chambers, the preppy murderer here, has gone to great lengths to take that dead woman, that dead young woman, and trash her reputation.
Totally and completely the fault of the prosecuting attorney. Let me explain why. They should have charged him with second-degree murder. They should never have charged him with first-degree murder. Now, in New York, it's confusing because first-degree murder is only killing a cop. But they deliberately charged him with deliberately and premeditatedly killing her. I don't think there's a person in this audience who believes that Chambers walked into that park intent on murdering her. Everybody knows that something terrible happened in that park.
Chambers.
And he may very well have killed her. He certainly killed her. He may very well have killed her with criminal intent. But if they had charged him with second-degree murder, none of this would ever come up. He was put on the defensive. He now has to prove that what happened there was unplanned and unanticipated. So the prosecutor put her character in issue. The prosecutor forced the defense attorney to subpoena that diary. It is all the prosecutor's fault, and the media misses that.
All right, we're joined here by, this is Lisa Sliwa, the Guardian Angels. You responded.
First of all, it's lawyers like Professor Dershowitz and the whole Harvard Law School crowd that sets the tone for the rest of the country
To say that the defendant's interests, the criminal's interests, are the same as the victim's is an outrage. The victims did do. Wait a minute. You got yours. Say, let me get mine, okay?
You like the wrong people
hold
to be
on.
First, let me correct you on one thing. Robert Chambers is charged with second-degree murder.
Only
That's
because
the charge
in New
he's
York,
facing.
no, don't confuse everybody.
But my
wait a
point
minute.
is-
In New York, second-degree murder is intentionally and deliberately killing. First-degree murder only means killing a cop.
The
So
point,
it's
the
equivalent
point
of
is,
first-degree
the
murder.
point is to say that the victim's interests are the same as the criminals
When the
are
wrong person
totally
is charged.
ridiculous.
When the
It's
wrong
lawyers
person is
like you
charged.
that are more concerned about the rights of the criminals than the victims. You know, when it's a male victim, they never undergo what female crime victims go through. Thank God Marla is here today to talk about what happened to her. But the family of Jennifer Levin, the girl that was murdered by Robert Chambers, they have to live with a death penalty, a life sentence that was given by the actions of Robert Chambers. It's always blame the victim when it's a woman.
Let me speak to the issue of sex
I
discrimination
will.
because it's
I
very
will.
important.
When we come back, you speak to the issue of sex discrimination. Okay, we'll be right back. Just everyone hold their place. We're going to continue this debate in about 2 minutes. We'll be right back. We're back with Marla Hanson, the razor/model who is getting her life and her career back together after the perpetrators of that awful crime have all been convicted and sentenced to maximum terms. Respond, if you will, Marla, to what's been going on, the debate between Lisa and Alan Dershowitz.
Okay, I think that basically we have a good system, and a system that was meant to work and meant to basically protect people, but I think the problem lies in the people that exploit the system. And I mean, it's tragic for everyone. And I think my case is entirely different than maybe the Bernard Goetz case or the Jennifer Levin case, because there was no reason to attack my character at all. I think in the Jennifer Levin case, again, there's no reason to attack that, but she can't speak up for herself, and there's really no defense, and
I wonder if it doesn't make it worse in some ways.
it does make it a lot worse. Makes it a lot worse.
Let me show the people here in the audience and people at home. Take a look at this magazine cover. This is a New York Magazine article from November '86. Can you see it? You seeing it? It's that's Chambers, the guy who admittedly killed Jennifer Levin. But look at the picture. He looks like the sweetheart of Sigma Chi, doesn't he? Take a look.
Sick.
It's the yuppie with the blazer and everything else. Now, wasn't your student, Jack Lippman, Ellen, using and abusing the media or the system when he portrayed his client as the glamour boy as opposed to the poor, dead Jennifer Levin who was a slut and a this and a that and everything else?
The media obviously influences how we look at every case. If Jennifer Levin had been a poor black woman from Harlem and she had been murdered on the other side of Central Park, it would have been on page 68 of the New York News. It never would have gotten on the front page.
I don't disagree with that.
The media creates both crime victims and the media creates defendants. I do want to speak on the issue of sex discrimination because Ms. Sliwa is not only absolutely right, but she understates it. You know, historically, women could not be victims of crimes because they were not even persons in the law. If you raped a woman, it was a crime against her man, her husband, or her father. The same thing has been true of black people in America. It is very important to emphasize the fact that the status of a person in society does determine how he or she will be treated in courts of law. But we should not make
On
the
both
mistake.
sides of the case.
On both sides.
That's why Chambers...
If you, for example, if you're a black man in America and you kill a white person, male or female, by the way, you are 10 times more likely to get the death penalty than if you are a white person who kills a black person in society. But let's not generalize from the racism and the sexism in our society towards vigilantism. We must keep the process going.
Oh, let's
we
throw
must
in everything, Geraldo. I mean, why don't we throw in the gun control issue? What we're talking about, our lawyers, Professor Dershowitz, your student, Jack Lippman, who wrote the handbook for this type of crime. And the pattern for this type of crime and the defense.
Criminal defense.
For the criminal defense. And he wrote the book because what happened in the Marla Hanson case and what is happening in the Jennifer Levin case are very, very similar. Desperate defense attorneys who have no justification whatsoever for their clients' actions because they cannot defend them, seek to attack the victim. And it
Let me ask
always
you a
happens,
question.
let me finish,
Let me ask you a
it
question.
always happens when it's a woman. The criminal, it's determined in advance what can be said about the criminal in court. But your lawyers that you're training can say whatever they want without any
Let me ask you a
responsibility
question. If
whatsoever.
your friend or your husband was charged with a crime that you absolutely knew he was not guilty of, he was charged with purposely killing somebody, and you were there and you saw that it was an accidental death, and he was charged with deliberately and purposely doing it, a distortion of the process, which is what happened in the January 11 case, and I think everybody knows that, wouldn't you try everything in your legal and ethical power to get the right result?
Nobody is arguing. I'm not saying
So
we
blame
should
the
deny
prosecutor.
anybody. No, I'm not saying we
It's the
should deny
prosecutor's fault.
anybody rights to legal representation. Yes, but we have a very clearly delineated outline in our society for what are the rights of the criminal. There is no specification for what the rights of the victims are. And Jack Littman in the Jennifer Levin case, Alton Maddox in Marla Hanson's case, they could get off saying whatever they wanted to say. They attacked the reputation of these two women without anyone calling them shots.
Okay, hold
on
it.
it.
Let's come back to our guest of honor here. Go ahead, Mom.
I have something to say. On that point that it was the prosecutor's fault, what most people don't understand going into this is the prosecutor is not the lawyer for the victim or for the witnesses, and they don't have any duty to really protect the rights of the witness or the crime victim.
Did they tell you what to expect? Did anyone prep you? If
They-
it was
they-
a civil case, if it was your attorney, he would have told you, well, Marla, the guy's going to beat you up. He's going to try and bring out your sexual habits or whether or not you're a
They
virgin
told
or
me that,
monogamous.
but I don't know if there's any preparation until you really get in there and experience it. But one thing they didn't tell me, which I probably would have reacted a lot differently had I known, was the fact that when you tell the prosecutor something, it's not privileged information. And they want you to tell them everything, every skeleton, everything, and they turn it over to the defense. And I mean, I was trying to be honest, and I was trying to help this case, and I laid my whole life out, only to find out it was turned over to the defense lawyers, and turned over to the defense lawyers was therefore public knowledge. I mean, it could be in the papers. He could do whatever he wants with that. And that's scary. You have no privacy.
I mean,
no
it wasn't.
privacy.
It was in fact the
And-
wreckage of your privacy, wasn't it? I mean, they
yes.
they did everything. They said everything. About it.
Yeah, and you get so disillusioned and so, oh, I don't know. It's a terrible feeling.
Was there ever a point where you said, it's not worth it, I don't want to go through it, I don't want to press the charge? I mean, isn't that the result that defense attorneys are after?
There were times I felt that way, but, you know, I got so much support. And I would look at, like, the Jennifer Levin case, and I thought, God, you know, I'm so lucky. Here I am, and if I can help something like this from happening to somebody else, then, man, I would do it over again.
You really?
I'd do it over again to help somebody else. Yeah.
Can you
Because
think...
I feel like, I mean, as a citizen of our society, you have a duty. And, I mean, how could I not go through this trial and not stand up for what I believed in and then see a crime happen to somebody else and I didn't do anything? This is my chance to do something and to give back to society. And I just couldn't live with myself if I didn't do that.
You really impress me more each time. Okay, we're going to take another break. When we come back, we're going to progress with this discussion, and we'll try and determine whether or not there are answers to weighing the rights of the defendant and particularly the female crime victim. We'll be right back. The focus of our discussion is the Marla Hanson case and the rights generally of female crime victims. You're an assistant district attorney, right?
Yes, sir, I am. And I take offense to a suggestion by the professor that it's the prosecutor's fault that brought on the sleazy defense tactics as shown by the New York Defense Counsel.
Well, what do you mean?
The prosecutor has an obligation to charge the correct crime against the state. In my case, it would be the state of New Jersey. And he shouldn't take into consideration defense tactics which might go beyond and below what's expected of an ethical defense attorney.
But isn't that, sir, exactly what we're talking about? Doesn't that cold-hearted approach leave people like Marla Hanson on the butcher block for people like Jack Littman? I'm not picking on him, Alan, but just, all right, defense attorneys generally, or Alton Maddox to chop apart.
Well, it does, but alternative, you have to look at the alternative, and that is to not charge a crime because of potential sleazy attorneys, and that's incorrect too.
So what do we do? How do you get rid of these guys? Or do you? Or do you have to be... Go ahead, Marla.
I think that the problem lies in the law because anytime there's something good, people exploit it, and we know that. And there are not enough laws protecting a victim or a witness. And I think the problem lies in defense lawyers' tactics. I think there should be more laws governing what they can or cannot do in the courtroom. Because if you had a choice, if you committed a crime, and you knew that you could get off by doing whatever, and people that commit crimes aren't good people anyway, just face it, they're bad people, then they're going to do anything to get off, and it's a lawyer's job to get them off.
I remember
They
doing
get
a
paid
story.
for it. So I think that the problem is in the law, and I think that there should be more laws governing defense lawyers' tactics.
Just to follow up to what you just said, I did a story about a serial rapist. This is a guy who year after year would rape somebody else. And he kept getting acquittals because in every single rape trial, he could put the rape victim on the stand, and her background would be torn to shreds, and he didn't take the stand, so the prosecutor could not bring his background into testimony, because he was protected by the Fifth Amendment.
And a witness is not. Isn't that frustrating?
Right, right. Here, Justice for Jennifer. I noticed the button.
Yeah, well,
Tell us who you are.
I'm Sherry Price. I'm with the Sonny Von Bulow National Victim Advocacy Center.
Oh, so that's Professor Dershowitz's case specifically.
Very interesting. I agree with Marla. I think that we have to see a balance of the laws. We don't want to see crime, the criminal's law, his guarantees, his rights taken away.
No.
But there has to be more of a balance. We need a speedy trial. This whole thing with Jennifer's trial taking over a year, and now we probably won't see it till January. That's ridiculous.
How long was yours from start to finish?
A year.
A year.
A year.
Before they were finally sentenced.
Before the last sentencing was an entire year.
Right. How long was the trial, though? About 3-4 months?
I don't know. My lawyer could help me with that.
Okay. Hold it. Right.
Plus the hearings. Don't forget the hearings.
There were 2 trials, actually. The second one lasted about 6 weeks, and the first trial was, I think, about 4 weeks. In the interim, there were also preliminary suppression hearings, which ran several days each.
So were you paid by the state to represent Marla, or did she have to retain you? I mean,
We
her own
represent
expense?
Marla privately. One of the points I'd like to respond to...
So the victim has to hire an attorney.
I didn't in this case, but yeah.
They're really not even allowed in court. It's the prosecutor who is supposed to be representing the state. Marla had no representation. I know Mr. Shannon was there, but Mr. Shannon could not work with, or hopefully he did work with the prosecutors, but there was no legal bounds there. There's nothing that, if I'm attacked, and I have been attacked, if a prosecutor is supposed to represent the state, not Sherry Price.
Okay. Hi, who are you?
Actually, I'm Rose Jordan from the Justice for Jennifer Task Force. I'd like to answer Mr. Dershowitz's contention that the prosecutor is to blame. That's another victimization of some other person. Mr. Littman has tried this case.
The Jennifer Levin case.
Yes, he has tried the case in the media. He has fed the media with allegations as if they were fact. He has called an appointment book a diary. He has made the people out there, as they did with Marla Hanson, believe that Jennifer Levin was a harlot or a whore or whatever word you'd like to use. The reason that people can do that in court is because they do that in society. Women and men are trained differently. We're looked at differently. So when you get into a court of law, the laws are different for us,
but,
whether we're victims or whether we're perpetrators.
Wait, let's Marla's...
Real fast, but you have no protection in court. You have no right to sue. You have no right to sue for verbal abuse or whatever abuse you receive because it's protected under the court.
But was it right for Jack Littman to ask for Jennifer Levin's appointment book? I mean, what relevance does that have? No, don't shift the question. Answer the question.
Answer that question. Absolutely, he would be disbarred if he didn't ask for it. He was as right asking that. He was as right asking for that as your hero, as your hero, Barry Slotnick, who represented your other hero, Bernard Goetz, was in trying to put those victims on trial. Now, you folks in this audience probably all applaud the acquittal of Bernard Goetz and the great defense that was put on for Barry Slotnick.
Count me out of that.
Wait a minute. So
that worked.
When defense attorneys put the victims on trial, when they're black victims and you don't like them, and when they're subway muggers and you don't like them, but you hate the defense attorneys.
I love you people from Harvard that are so sensitive to blacks that don't live with them in your own neighborhood.
All right. Hold it.
But I want to say something. I think.
Oh, hold it.
I think in this case, there were two, I mean, the guys that he shot were criminals in the first place, and that was a time when it worked, when that kind of defense worked, and it should have worked, because they did deserve what they did deserve it. They attacked him in the first place, and he attacked them back because he was being attacked. And that's totally, I think it's totally different. It's exactly the opposite of.
Okay, we're going to continue this. Welcome back, our special guest, Marla Hanson. What's your question?
Marla, I'm wondering if you're ever concerned about what's going to happen once these three men get out of jail. Are they going to look for revenge? Are you going to be in danger again?
That's a question a lot of people ask, and honestly, I haven't thought about it that much, but I'm sure when the time approaches, it's going to be an issue I'll have to deal with.
How much time do they have to serve? I know
5 to 15 years.
5 to 15.
Right.
Professor, what does that mean, 5 to 15? Shout it out. I don't have a mic on. 5. All right. But you
It's
have
not
a lot
going
of,
to be a happy time.
you have a
when they
lot
get
of
out,
friends.
no.
You know, call us. We'll surround you.
Hi. I was wondering how you feel that societal attitudes towards women's sexuality affected the way that you were treated in court.
Well, it makes me angry. I mean, it made me angry that I had to deal with these issues on top of everything else I had to deal with. And, you know, I dealt with it the best I could, but I would have rather not dealt with it.
Had to deal
And I
with
hope no one else has to.
Hi, Marla. I was just wondering what you did to deal with the day-to-day, situation of just living in the city. I assume you still live in the city. And
that's
what
a
do you
good
do to
question.
protect yourself?
I'm not a person that has a lot to fear. I mean, I don't walk around in fear all the time, but this has affected me. And I look in the windows when I pass stores to see people behind me if they're following me. And I don't know, I don't walk down a dark street. I try to be careful. I don't stay out late at night.
I want to ask a question. When you said Bernard Gibbs did with to those teenagers, they got what they deserved.
Mhm.
You think it's right for any man, any teenager to get killed? Anybody?
No, I don't think that's right. But I think that.
A grown crazy man. That man was crazy. Any man take a human being life.
But you know
A man
why he
wasn't-
was
If you
crazy?
go up to a man,
He was
let me
crazy
tell you-
because he had been assaulted so many times, and I don't think people should have to live with fear. And I think crime makes me angry.
Hey,
I don't
that's
like
fair.
walking
That's-
down the
that's-
street
you get
and
robbed by
feeling
one
like I
black
might
man,
be attacked.
You see another black man, you think they're gonna rob him because they're in a group.
What if somebody attacked you? What would you do? You
Well,
might
they already
freak
done
out
that.
on a certain
They done
level.
that- they
Yeah,
done
you
that,
might go crazy.
Sunday at 10:30, as soon as I came from Denver.
I probably would have shot him too.
You see what
I
I'm
mean,
saying?
honestly.
But let me
I've
tell you.
been in. Have you been attacked? Have you
Yes,
been
I
attacked?
have. Sunday at 10:30 when I came from Denver off the bus.
I'm sure the
then you
New
know
York
what
Chamber
it
of Commerce
feels
is going to love that one. But, no, but tough question.
But the question wasn't whether they were black. I don't think.
How do you feel about your attackers that they got the maximum penalty?
Well, it's hard. I mean, I'm in a place that I'd like to forgive, but it's very hard for me. And I don't think 5 years is enough.
I agree with that. Here, Marnie.
Professor Dershowitz,
Stand up.
do you have a wife?
Yes.
What if your wife was slashed and raped and a defense lawyer was taking the case? What would you recommend to her?
I would recommend that she get a very good lawyer and that she aggressively go into court and pursue her own rights and that she try to vindicate her own interests. My children have been victims of crimes. I have been a victim of crime. I want to make sure, first of all, that the right person is prosecuted. I have no interest in seeing the wrong person prosecuted. Second, I want to see that justice is done to the victim and to the criminal defendant alike. Third, I want to see that the sentence is a reasonable one that reflects the balance between society's needs and the criminal's rights. We can achieve all of these at the same time if we just don't succumb to this vigilante demand to get it over with right away and put it behind us. We have to have a process and a system, and our process works.
Process works. Okay.
Professor Dershowitz, at the beginning of Marla's trial, one of the defense lawyers said his job is to walk out of the courtroom with his client. I see his job as different. You alluded to it earlier. He has to do whatever he can within the canons of ethics and morality. Do you see anything wrong with defense lawyers making accusations that they have no reason to support and which are not relevant to the case?
Give me an
Such as
example.
in Marla's case, to accuse her of being a racist based upon the fact that the jury was unaware that within minutes of the attack she had made an identification of the two individuals.
See,
That sounds
See,
absolutely-
Geraldo, this
that
is part of
sounds
the problem, is
outrageous.
what he was talking about with Marla's case, is that the criminals, there's only certain things that can be allowed in court about what their past behavior is and about what their records are. The victims, the defense attorneys have carte blanche to say whatever they want about the victims, and when it's a woman, she's always made out to be a prostitute, a whore, or to have done something that she was asking for.
Is that true in a general sense?
It's true in general that all victims are put on trial, men as well as women,
Not like
but it's
women.
worse. But it's worse with women because we live in a sexist society.
Yeah, I would like to know, is it really true that a defense lawyer does, in actual fact, have carte blanche to say anything he wants to defend his client?
Of course not. There are very strict rules of evidence. You can't bring in any
Ooh, they sure
irrelevant
didn't look
evidence.
that way in her case, though, did it?
No.
Rules of evidence.
Let me
What's
tell you
strict
who we should be attacking in your
Don't
case.
attack the prosecutor
We should
again,
be
anyway.
attacking the judge in your case for his
outrageous
outrageous statement criticizing you for your treatment. In this country, we still have First Amendment rights, and you have the right to speak up against that judge.
What about that? I mean, when the judge criticized you for criticizing the trashing you'd received,
Yeah.
I mean, that seemed terrible.
I felt sort of abandoned and alone at that point, and I couldn't believe the only person that could have protected me there was not doing it. And what can I say?
With all that people have heard about you or know about you now because you've been in the press so much, what would you like the audience to know about the real Marla Hanson?
I think I'd like them to know that I could be any one of you. I could be anybody else. I'm just a girl, and I'm just a nice girl, and that's all.
Okay, Marla Hanson, nice girl. I really thank you very much for coming out. Thank you all for coming. That's a good debate. Thanks a lot.